Hey everybody, Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. This is the one you've been waiting for. This is game one of the Shiloh Slaughter 2015 GT. And it was exciting. Needless to say, I was way overexcited for this GT. I've been looking forward to it. And so finally sitting down and getting to play my first game in the actual tournament, very exciting. I think I started off at table 11 or something like that, which was awesome. And yeah, I got to play against a guy who's actually very familiar with playing against or my club anyway, Six Vicious. It was me, Lord Tremendous of the Tomb Kings, versus Shane Pegram of the Dark Elves. And we first met Shane at the Alamo last year, or the year prior, I apologize. And yeah, real good guy. He played against one of the other guys in my club. This is the first time I've actually played against him, but he's a solid player, and I was looking forward to the fight. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see how game one went for me.
Assemble the army!
Here's my list, and it's exactly the same as before because to change it now would be cheating, and the TO would have probably caught that, yeah, if suddenly I had Demon Princes in my army or something. But of course, I had my Tomb King, Lord Tremendous. He had a shield, Sword of Antiheroes, Armor of Destiny, Dragonbane Gem, and the other Trickster Shard. And then I have my two High Lich Priests. My first one is Queen Elizabeth, who's a level 4 wizard with the Staff of Sorcery and Lore of Nehekara. And my second one, Dark Vincent, who's a level 3 wizard with the Spell Scroll and Lore of Undeath. My hero choices are a Necrotech, Sinister Jeffrey with the Sword of Striking, Dragon Helm, and Iron Curse icon. And my core choices are my unit of 5 Skeleton Horse Archers with a banner, 58 Skeleton Warriors, the Fateless with full command light armor and shields, 12 Skeleton Archers, the Queen's Guard with full command, 3 Chariots, Rollin' Bones with Musician and Banner and a Banner of Eternal Flame, and 3 more Chariots, the Thunder, with Banner Musician. My special choices consisted of my 3 Medusa Stalkers, those that gaze, and my Chimerian War Sphinx with Fiery Roar. My rare choices are my Hyro Titan Ad Protector, my Screaming Skull Phalapult, and my Casket of Souls. My opponent's list is as follows. He had a Supreme Sorceress as his general, who was a level 4 wizard with a Dispel Scroll, Talisman of Preservation, and used the Lore of Metal. His hero choices. He had multiple special characters. He had Corrin Darkhand, which I believe is the Blackguard special character, and then he had Talaris Dreadbringer, which I'm almost positive is the Executioner special character. Wasn't overly familiar with him. I faced Talaris before and murdered him because he's a filthy elf, and that's what I do to filthy elves. But yeah, he told me that he had him, and for some reason I think I was just overexcited about playing, so it just never registered. But anyway, he had them, and he also had a Master who was his BSB with a Sea Dragon Cloak, Heavy Armor, Sword of Might, Enchanted Shield, and a Dawnstone. Basically, a one-upper rollable armor save. His core choices were a unit of 5 Dark Riders with crossbows, Musician, and Banner. He actually had 3 units of those guys, all the same. They were just all clones. 5 Dark Riders, Expo, Musician, Banner, times 3. And then 10 Dread Spears with Musician and Banner. A unit of 12 Witch Elves with Musician, Banner, and Banner of Eternal Flame. And then his special choices were a unit of 24 Blackguard with full command and Razor Standard, which makes sense because he has the special character. And then he had 23 Executioners with full command. Also makes sense because he had the special character. His rare choices were 2 units of 6, that's right, 6 Doomfire Warlocks, and only 1 Repeater Bolt Thrower, which I thought was actually kind of nice of him because usually I'm facing 3 to 7, so you know how it is. The scenario for this one was called Guardians of the Outhouse, and it was a play on Guardians of the Galaxy, in case you couldn't put that one together for yourself. It was a battle line setup. Basically, there was a big blind provided to us, a big piece of cardboard that we set up in the middle of the table during deployment. Basically, the idea was don't be a dick and watch your opponent place. So we put the blind up and then we deployed our armies. After deployment, we removed the blind and we placed the outhouse in the dead center of the table. And then you put objective markers 36 inches to the left and to the right of the outhouse, and then you take your vanguard and everything like that afterwards, or after scouts anyway. The player that did not choose sides during the deployment gets a +1 to roll to go first, and victory points do not count towards battle points, and battle points are how you win GTs. So that's why that's all caps. it'll come into play later, you'll see. But yeah, victory points did not count towards battle points. The only time victory points counted towards battle points at all in this tournament was game 5. Remember I said that. It'll come into play later. Victory conditions, you wanted to collect the 5 Guardians of the Outhouse. Maximum battle points you could get is 22. It was possible to score higher than 22 battle points in this scenario. However, once you hit 22, that was it. You were supposed to stop. So how to do it is number 1, claim the center objective, which was the outhouse, and you get 6 battle points. And to claim an objective, you had to have a unit within 3 inches of it. And if there was an enemy unit within 3 inches of it as well, the unit that had the highest amount of fortitude, secured the objective. If it was a tie, neither side secured the objective. So now you know the rules. Number 2 was claim the 2 secondary objectives, 3 battle points each. Those were the objectives that were 36 inches to the sides of the outhouse. Number 3 was win by 300 victory points. You earn 5 battle points that way. 4th was have the most banners in your possession, yours and your opponent's. So still have some banners left and ones that you captured from your opponent. And if you have the most, then you get 4 battle points. And then 5, reduce below half or destroy the enemy's most expensive unit, which is 3 battle points. Having unit within 3 inches of objective claims it, like I've already said, blah, blah, blah. Here are my spells, which are what you're looking at. And here's deployment. For the most part, I wanted to be able to contest the battle points the best I could, if not capture them. So I went up right up against the line there. And he pretty much did the same. He kind of did the spread out formation with his faster guys on the outskirts and his heavy combat ready units in the middle. Yeah, my plan here was to hope that he went first and just kind of spread out so that my casket could do its thing, take care of some fast cav for me. My scouts over here on the left side were to keep everything kind of contained on that side so that when my stalkers came in, I could take care of his bolt thrower. And I also put the scouts over there so that his bolt thrower would shoot at the scouts and not anything important like my chariots, for example. Other than that, my plan was to push forward and face these elves, mano a mano, because I was pretty sure with the little amount of combat that he had, I should be able to take care of him. I fully expected to lose my catapult and my casket in this one, but I figured the casket would blow up and take out whatever fast cav slam into him. Here's my opponent's Sunner, which consists from left to right a unit of fast cav. Right next to them is a unit of warlocks. In front of them is this unit of blackguard with the special character installed. In the middle there is his unit of witch elves. Behind them are his dread spears with his BSB and supreme sorceress installed. Next to them, and also the BSB. The BSB and the supreme sorceress. I'm sorry. Next to them is another unit of warlocks. In front of them are the executioners with the special character installed, Talaris, I believe. And then on the right side are 2 more units of dark riders. And here's my opponent's right flank, as well as my scouts, which consists of his bolt thrower, as well as my archers, my horseman archer guys. Yeah. I'm actually really kind of becoming fond of those guys. I like them, which is kind of ridiculous, I know, but it is what it is. Here's my left flank, which consists of my 2 units of chariots. The one on the left is the one with the flaming banner, and you could tell because that one banner, and I always point it out to my opponents, but that banner has some red on it, just kind of like a blot of red to make it real obvious. And here's my center, which from left to right consists of my Titan. Behind him is my casket. In the middle there are my archers with both Lich Priests installed. In front of them the Skeleton Warriors with Tomb King and Necrotech installed. Next to them is the Kitty, and behind the Kitty is the Phalapult. Here's top of 1 after movement, and can you believe it? I actually got to go first. And so I moved forward my whole 4 inches. Pretty much everything moved up 4 to 5 inches. I wanted to keep it all together, with the exception of the casket and the catapult, because I was going to let them die. Meanwhile, my my scouts moved up just a little bit to harass some stuff or to take pot shots at the bolt thrower, because why not? During the magic phase, I am able to get Incantation of Vengeance off on his Blackguard. And the idea here was they stay right where they're at, or some of them are going to die, because dangerous terrain checks for everybody. And if they do move, they're not going to move much. So I figured they were the best unit to get it off on, and it got off. He let it go, so that was awesome. Ended up deducting their movement by 2, by the way. For my next trick, I brought some Hex Race onto the table, and I thought with the minimal amount of magical attacks he seems to have, these would be an excellent unit to have in there because I'm going to throw them into the Executioners or something and just have a field day. Or maybe just run through some stuff and try to get into his Bleak Swords and take out his Supreme Sorcerers and his BSB as quick as humanly possible. During the shooting phase, my catapult, I aimed it at the back middle Witch Elf, just thinking that wherever it's scattered, I should hit something. And wouldn't you know it, the damn thing hit, and it hit well, and ended up killing about 5 of the witches, 4 or 5 of the witches, which was huge, because Witch Elves, even at a unit of 12, are really dangerous. So we were both kind of, well, I was surprised about it. My opponent just kind of figured it would happen, but I guess he doesn't watch my battle reports because if you've seen one, you know how bad I do with the catapult. So I was thrilled it actually killed some elves. Very happy. Nothing else really to report, so we go over here to bottom of 1 after a movement. And there's a little bit. Of course, his fast cav go pell-mell and run out to the flanks. His unit of Witch Elves as well as his unit of Executioners come forward slightly. And his Blackguards stay put because they did not want to take dangerous terrain checks. During his magic phase, he gets Doombolt off on my Hex Race and obliterates them. I probably should have tried to stop that with a scroll. I tried to dispel it and I failed miserably. It is what it is. But yeah, he got the Hex Race. But you know what? He doesn't get any points for those guys, so I'm okay with it. Then over here, I don't recall if this was the Bolt Thrower or if this was his Dark Riders or a combination, but 2 of my Scouts die, which is actually kind of bad rolling on his part because I expected them to all be dead. And the fact that he was shooting at them and nothing vital, I was okay with that. Nothing else happens during his phase, so we go over here to top of 2 after movement, and I move forward a little itty bitty bit. My chariots move up to kind of work on the left angle there. My stalkers come in to deal with the bolt thrower because that thing's got to die. I knew the Dark Riders were probably going to come in right behind them, but I said screw it, should be fun. The chariots ran over there to either capture that objective or charge and slam into the Dark Riders and maybe save the stalkers. I didn't know, but I figured having them there would be a good call. My other unit of chariots kind of started barricading or went behind the obstacle there just in case. I know they were going to take dangerous terrain checks for going over it. I just didn't care. I wanted him to come out because I needed him to get closer so I could charge. Meanwhile, everything else kind of moved up, and the kitty got in position to go after the Executioners because I felt that the kitty could take the Executioners. Other than that, everything pretty much stayed put. During the magic phase, I get a bubble ward save off from my caster, and pretty much everything except for the chariots on the far left flank and my scouts and the stalkers have a 5-up ward now, which is very nice. And during the shooting phase, the stalkers Care Bear stare at the bolt thrower, and I roll 2 6s, so they die. I didn't take any wounds for my trouble, and then the Dark Riders panic and go tearing ass through everything. Nothing else fails a panic check, but the fact that the Dark Riders are no longer threatening my stalkers, I found to be quite nice of my opponent. Not to be outdone, my catapult hits. I aim dead center for the Executioners, and once again, I nail them. And end up killing just a handful. About 8, I think 7 or 8 die, which not terrible. My opponent made some good armor saves, but hey, I'll take it. They passed the obligatory panic check, but felt pretty good about that one. No complaints. So with that, we go over here to bottom of 2 after movement, and my opponent tries a couple of charges. His Witch Elves try to charge a flank of my chariots, and to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't even see that. So luckily for me, he failed that charge. Otherwise, that whole unit is just dead. But they failed it by like 2 inches. It was very close. But it's nice because now the Witch Elves are way out in the open, and my chariots behind the ops are going to charge and kill them next turn, provided they're still there. The Executioners tried to charge my Skeleton Warriors. They needed a bit of a charge. I think he needed to roll an 8 or a 9, and I think he rolled like a 4. I mean, it wasn't much. But yeah, they stumble forward 4 or whatever. His other unit of fast cav, they start tearing around my right flank there to go after the catapult and the casket, and I'm okay with that. You know, that was the plan to begin with. I just didn't expect to actually think that the catapult was good. So what can you do? And other than that, everything, like his Warlocks kind of hang back. His Blackguards still haven't moved yet. Everything's pretty much right where it's at. There's a better picture of his Witch Elves and his Executioners failing to charge into me, and that was nice. During the magic phase, I think he was just trying to pull out the spell dice. He gets enchanted blades off on the warlocks, and I was perfectly fine with that. I let it go so I could stop everything else. And with nothing else going on in his shooting phase, we go over here to top of 3 after movement, and you're looking at it. My stalkers move up a little bit because they wanted to Care Bear stare at his blackguard, and his blackguard did turn to look at the stalkers last turn. I apologize. My chariots go over the obstacle and pass their dangerous terrain checks and slam into the witch elves. The war kitty and well, the war kitty went in alone into the executioners, and the idea here was blow your flaming breath, do whatever damage I can, maybe killing blow the character, and then thunder stomps and hopefully thunder crush into this unit and just destroy as many executioners as I could so that my skeleton warriors could charge into them and next turn, or they could charge into my executioners, whatever. I didn't care, but I figured that would be the best way to deal with them that way. Yeah, it sacrifices the kitty, but at the same time, kitty does pretty well against infantry, so there was a chance it would survive. Other than that, the archers do a swift reform and pass in order to shoot at the dark riders that are barreling down towards the catapult, because why not? The Titan moves as well in order to Shem's Burning Gaze at them if the and giving the archers a little bit less damage they have to do in order to get rid of the damn problem. Other than that, though, my scouts and my stalkers just kind of move up a little bit so I can try to Care Bear stare at stuff and shoot it before it charges me and kills that whole side. There's a better picture of the kitty slamming into the executioners, and that was going to be fun. And there's a better picture of the witch elves getting slammed into by the chariots, and that's going to be awesome. During the magic phase, nothing really important happens, so we go into shooting, and my catapult hits, wounds, and obliterates the the Dread Spear unit. There's like 3 Dread Spears left, 3 or 4 Dread Spears left, his BSB, and his Sorceress. That's it. They do pass their panic check, but only because the BSB was in there. It was incredible. It's 3 for 3 now. I don't even know this damn catapult anymore. And after that, we go over, nothing else happens in shooting worth mentioning, so we go into combat, and obviously my chariots are able to obliterate the witch elves. I do take 1 wound before I kill them all, but it is what it is, and I'm glad they're dead. Then over here, the kitty. I do fail to hit with the Thunder Crush attack, but everything else just obliterates the executioners, and he's down to a unit of, I think, 10 models total, so 9 with the character left. I win this combat, they're steadfast, and they stick it out. So we go over here to bottom of 3 after movement, and not a ton. His warlocks charge into the stalkers, and that was okay. That was going to happen. The what's it called? Blackguard turned to face my chariots because, well, they knew the chariots were coming, and they were going to get a lot more attacks, if I charge them in the front than the rear. So turning to face me was better. The other unit of warlocks gets behind my chariots in order to try to obliterate them with Doombolt. And other than that, his unit of fast cav and Bleak Swords kind of run around, just trying to get away from everything so that I don't completely wipe him off the map. It is what it is. There's about a picture of one of his units of Warlock slamming into my stalkers, and that was bound to happen. And I'm sorry, his 1 unit of Dread Dark Riders got obliterated by my shooting and magic last turn. I forgot to take a picture of it because kind of a lot's happening at a tournament, so sometimes I forget to take pictures. But I did kill off 1 unit of Dark Riders with shooting and magic last round, so that was cool. The other unit tried to charge my catapult and failed, and that's where they ended up, so that was good too. Nothing happens during his shooting or magic phase worth mentioning, so we go into combat. And I kill 1 warlock. He does a ton of wounds. He wins this combat. Ends up destroying 1 of my stalkers and putting 2 wounds on another after all is said and done. But they're still there, and my chariots do have range. So I'm gonna hopefully be able to save my my stalkers before the end of the combat. And then over here, the kitty just tearing up executioners. He can't roll any 6s to wound, so it's glorious. I ended up killing all but I think there's 5 executioners left, maybe 6, as well as Talaris, so it's going the right direction. I kind of expected the kitty to be dead by now to combat res, but no, he's just kicking ass and taking names, and I'm okay with that. So we go over here to top of 4 after movement, and not a ton. My chariots, not really knowing what else to do, charge. The one on the left flank charges into the warlocks and makes it. The other one's charging into the blackguard, and I know they're dead, but it's either I charge his Blackguard, and they charge me, so I figured I might as well get my impact hits. Other than that, my Skeleton Warriors are waiting for the kitty to get out of the way. I couldn't charge the rear of the Warlocks because they were just barely out of line of sight. And I don't know if I could swing past the kitty, to be perfectly honest. So my Titan, he moved up to try to Care Bear stare a little bit at the Warlocks, prevent my magic phase was any good, and the archers stayed where they were because shooting at the Dark Riders is fun. There's a better picture of my chariot slamming into the Warlocks and the Blackguard, and I probably won't probably won't win the combat against the Blackguard, but I'm hoping to do as much damage as possible. 3d6 strength 4 hits is still pretty decent. During the magic phase, I'm able to get the -2 movement and dangerous terrain checks off on his Dark Riders, so that might help if he tries to charge Catapult again. And then we go into combat, and I really roll poorly for my impact hits against the Warlocks, and he rolls very well in order to make his ward saves and stuff like that. So he's able to get his attacks back on the Stalkers, and they kill the Stalkers. He did 4 wounds to the Stalkers exactly, and killed them off before they could do anything. But the Chariots were able to put another wound or 2 through on him. In the end, 1 guy was left, and he fled, and I'll let you know right now, he flees off the table next turn. So it is what it is. I didn't save the Stalkers, but I got the Warlock, so I feel pretty good about that. Then over here, the kitty, he does finally take 1 wound, but he obliterates all the executioners, and in the end, the only thing that's left is Talaris, and I still think that's a fight he can win, so I'm very proud of the kitty. He has taken out an entire brick of executioners, minus a handful from when it got catapulted, and now he's up against the special character, so awesome. Good kitty. With that fun said, now we go over here to bottom of 4 after movement, and his Dark Riders charge into Catapult and finally make it, even at the -2, and they do lose 1 for the dangerous terrain check, but they pass their panic and slam into the Catapult, and so be it. Other than that, the rest of his units just kind of bounce around. His Sorcerer and his BSB dive into the Blackguard because eek. And yes, the Blackguard, they took 7 wounds from impact hits, and then they destroyed my Chariots, just destroyed them. With the halberds and the Razor Standard, I didn't even have a save. So he did 9 wounds, the Chariots exploded, and when the dust settled, 7 Blackguard were dead, but that's not enough to really do anything. Other than that, his fast cav guys kind of like, I don't even know. I think he was trying to send them over towards the Chariots and the Scouts. The Bleak Sword or the Dread Spears, they just try to move to get out of charge range of everything because they're scared. And yeah, it's not looking good for the Dark Elves. There's a better picture of the Dark Elves slamming into my Catapult, and usually that wouldn't bother me that much, but it was really starting to actually hurt my feelings a little bit, I won't lie, because the Catapult did well this game. During this magic phase, he gets Super Doom Bolt off on my Titan and does 3 wounds to it. I think I saved 2 of them, which is the only reason the thing's still alive, because he was within 12 of my Necrotech, so I had a 6-up regen. But oh my god, that spell is devastating. And then during the shooting phase, I think Dark Riders shoot at my Chariots and do a wound or 2 to them. It's not good. In combat, my Catapult gets obliterated by the Dark Riders. I think they do a wound plus charge, and I think they have a banner too or something like that. He wins by combat res, and my Catapult explodes, and I think they overrun like 3 inches. It's not very far. I know he wanted my casket, but he didn't get there. And then over here in combat, Talaris is able to slip 1 more wound through on the War Kitty, but with the guys on top, I was able to killing blow Talaris. He dies a horrible death, and I say good riddance to pointy-eared freaks. So we go over here to top of 5 after movement because, you know, his turn's over. And the kitty charges the Dread Spears, who fail their 10-up rerollable, or 9 or 10-up rerollable panic or terror check, and flee like 7 inches. But when they failed the terror check, I redirected into his fast cav, who passed their terror check, and the kitty made it. So yeah, the kitty slams into the fast cav, and I was doing that for points, just trying to get rid of his banners and stuff like that. Other than that, the Chariots try to do a swift reform back down towards the left flank objective and fail. The Scouts move their 8 inches. My Archers move to try to intercept the Dark Riders, and my Titan turns to face the Warlocks, as well as my Casket, because I need them dead. There's a better picture of the War Kitty panicking the Dread Spears and slamming into the Dark Riders, so I feel pretty good about that. Nothing happens worth mentioning in my magic or shooting phase, so we go into combat, and the War Kitty has no problem taking out the Dark Riders and overrunning to get out of the arc of the Blackguard. So at the time, I thought that was awesome. With nothing else to report, we go over here to bottom of 5 after movement, and I apologize. During the last turn, I did get some Hex Race during the Magic phase, and I blocked the Dark Rider's charge into the rear of my, well, into the casket, and I just did that because I wanted to try to keep the casket because I like having plus D3 to my power dice, and I like the casket, so, you know, I'm a jerk like that. But yeah, in bottom of 5, his Dread Spears do rally, and they just kind of stay right where they're at. And his Blackguard move up in front of the outhouse because the outhouse is impassable terrain. You can't go through it, so I can't charge him. He can't charge me. It's a little bit of a Mexican standoff there. But he's got his BSB, his general, and a banner and net unit to the banner and general I have. He's got more fortitude there than I do, so he's actually holding that objective right now, and that sucks. At the time, though, I didn't think it was a big deal because, well, you'll see. We'll get to that. Nothing else happens in bottom of 5. I'm able to stop his magic. I'm able to weather his shooting. Nothing interesting happens. So we go to top of 6 after movement. And my chariots move towards the objective. My Titan moves up a little bit. The Hex Race move to harass the Warlocks. Give them something to shoot at and make sure they can't charge into my casket. And that's really it. I can't charge. I can't do anything. All I can do is sit there and be impotent. So awesome. During the magic phase, I try to repair a little bit of damage with breath of dust or something like that on the Titan. Basically, I heal a wound. And then also in the magic phase, I bring up 3 units of Boshati, or I'm sorry, three models of Boshati, 1 unit, with the idea of I could shoot them at the Warlocks and maybe kill a few of them and stop them from capturing the left flank objective. Needless to say, I failed to do that. Nothing really interesting happens in the shooting phase, so we go into bottom of 6, and he makes a mad grab for the objectives. The Dark Riders on the right flank, who I did shoot at last turn, I killed 1, but they passed their panic. They run over and secure the right side objective. His Blackguard locked down the center objective on the outhouse, and his other unit of Warlocks run up and secure the left flank objective. So right there, he just got 11 battle points, which, gotta hand it to him, he did well there, all things considered, but I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because, well, you'll see. During his magic phase, he just 6 dices the crap out of the biggest doom bolt he could cast at my chariots, and he does like 16 hits and easily does 9 wounds and obliterates the chariots, and that kind of broke my heart. And that was it. The game ends on a sigh. But there it is. There's the end of the game right there. And as you can see, he scooped up the objectives in the end, and that actually ends up hurting me. But we'll get to the recap in a minute, because right now this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
All right, guys and gals, there it is. Token Gal is back, and she's back in full operation mode of making tokens. So if you missed out before she went and got married and became Mrs. Token Gal, or however that works, this is your chance. Get your tokens now. Send her an email. Send her your monies. Get yourself some tokens. They're dirt cheap, solid gold quality. You're not going to be disappointed. Tell her Tremendous sent you. She'll probably know. But yeah, get these tokens. They're so much better than just using dice. They're so much easier to remember everything. You don't have to worry about your cards getting lost, stolen, ripped, torn, whatever. And, you know, they're glass beads, cool high-def pictures. Totally worth it. Get yourself some tokens. You won't regret it. That's right, guys. As you saw from the pictures, Unleashed Wargaming is now doing magic cards. As you can see, not only magic cards, but phenomenal magic cards. Laminated on thick cardstock, photoshopped so that it's real sharp pictures. The words are easy to read. It's real obvious they're numbered, the casting value, the type of spell it is. And they're so unique. They're beautiful Magic cards. I have every intention in the world of sending just all the orders I can get to this guy when ninth edition comes out to give me a whole set of the Magic cards because these are amazing. Not only does this guy do great painting, so if you want your models painted or you need something painted and you want it painted at a real good standard, at a professional standard for a damn good price, contact this guy. Send him an email. Get yourself some cards. Get yourself your army painted. You won't regret it. Let him know Tremendous sent you.
They find more cheer in a graveyard.
So in the end, it's kind of a funny story. It was a victory in victory points for Lord Tremendous, but a defeat in battle points, and battle points is what counted at the GT. I ended up getting 1,183 victory points out of him, and he got 660 out of me. However, with the criteria that is posted for the scenario, I ended up only earning 9 battle points. I got the third and fourth objectives. My opponent got 12. He got the first and second objectives, so like 6 and 5 or 6 and 6. So yeah, it was funny because when we first did the battle points and we totaled everything up, we thought victory points factored in. It was there in big bold print right next to the victory point table, the 20 Rubik or whatever. That victory points only counted in the final game, game 5, and we both missed it. A lot of people missed it, and that kind of sucked for me because I didn't realize just how important the objectives were, and that really screwed me. And it's my own fault. It's my own fault. I mean, it's not like it was a secret. It's not like the rules were hidden or it was fine print, big bold print right next to the victory chart. I just had to read one paragraph, not even a full paragraph, and I would have seen that. But we screwed up the turn-in sheet, and the TO came over and was like, "You guys are stupid. Here's your helmets." And we were like, "Yay!" And what looked like a 21-19 victory, it was a 9-12 loss for Lord Tremendous. So I won in victory, lost in battle. But in the end, I ended up losing both units of my chariots, my stalkers, and my catapult, and my opponent ended up losing Talaris Darkblade, 2 units of Dark Riders, his Witch Elves, his Executioners, 1 unit of Warlocks, and his Bolt Thrower. I really wish I had read the damn GT scoring page. That would have really helped. I would have probably given the kitty up to the Blackguard just to stop them from getting over to that objective in time. But it's my own stupid fault, and what can you do? And I trust me, we read the GT stuff, the scenarios a lot closer after this point because there was a lot of us that made that mistake, but the majority actually learned how to read and didn't have the same problem that I did. So, what can I do? I don't blame anyone but myself. And even my opponent was kind of dumbfounded, like, did I really just win that one? I'm like, you sure did. He didn't seem thrilled about it, but he certainly wasn't upset about it. Which, hey, he never gave up, and you got to respect the guy for that. A lot of people would have gave up, and he didn't, and it paid off. He won in the end, and he earned it. My War Kitty, could not be stopped. Charging into the Executioners and destroying them single-handedly. Yeah, I know they took a shot from the catapult, but holy crap, that was still a really good rounds of combat for the War Kitty. Very proud of the kitty. Definitely going to have to be a staple in my list. How about that catapult, though? I mean, not only did it hit, but it hit and wounded 3 times in the same game, which, as far as I was concerned, meant that the stupid thing was never going to work for the rest of the tournament. And, well, you'll have to sit back and relax and watch the rest of the battle reports to see if that happens or not. But, yeah, I was actually happy with my catapult this game and disappointed when it got killed. So I guess there's hope for all units, huh? I thought I was going to be able to save my stalkers there on the left flank, but the damn warlocks, they were able to make their ward saves to the impact hits and then took them down. And they took them down really fast. Like, warlocks are devastating. But I was able to get him in the end. The one guy that was left, fled off the table, and there was that. But, And that last super Doombolt from the one remaining unit of Warlocks into my chariots was terrifying. I don't know why people don't lead off with that. I'm going to do 46 worth of, hits to you because F you, that's why. Oh, and if I miscast, I get my ward save against it because I don't care. But all in all, this was a damn good game. He's a damn good opponent. My entire club that's played against him really does like playing against him. We've never had a bad thing to say about the guy. He's got a great army. He plays it well. I just you know, it was just, and in the end, he ended up winning, and that was exactly what should have happened because he stayed true to the objectives, and I was all about killing pointy ears. So that was stupid. My bloodlust cost me this game. So it is what it is. But hopefully one day I get to run into Shane again and play another game against him because it was a ton of fun. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it. So far, I'm 0 for 1 in this tournament, which means my 4 and 1 is still possible. That was my hope. My goal is 3 and 2, and well, you'll see how that goes. But game 1 of the Shiloh Slaughter was not a disappointment. A lot of interesting things happened. Really good game, really close game, all things considered. And in the end, it had kind of a surprise outcome, but I learned a life lesson, and that reading is power. And I was powerless because I didn't read, and I blame myself. But as always, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below. But yeah, guys, thanks.